What's up everybody, it's Drew with Wasatch Peaks Productions. This video is going to be about the do's and the don'ts of drone flying. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Alright guys, so today we're going to do a video on the do's and the don'ts of drone flying. On YouTube out there, I see a lot of videos about this, and everybody gives their own little personal flair to it of like what they do. Make a basic list for beginners so that they know the do's and don'ts of just a beginning thing, and then they can make and develop their own rules that they do while they fly. I will add my little personal flair, but we'll kind of stick to the basics of this list. So, the first rule, or the first do's and don'ts, is don't fly over people. And the reason I say that is because if your drone ever malfunctions, it can actually fall and crash onto someone, and it can damage your drone as well as hurt someone. You don't want the reliability on that and the liability on that, so just don't fly over people. And this day and age, most people don't want people flying over them anyways because they think they're being spied on. So just have the common courtesy to let anybody know, hey, I'm going to be launching a drone, I am an experienced drone pilot, or I am a pilot. Please, just if you don't want to be in the shot, I'll do my best not to keep you in the shot. Just have that common courtesy of not flying over people. That's just a good idea. As well as comes in number two. Number two is always make sure that it's legal to fly. I use an app called Before You Fly. It's an app on my iPhone, and you can get it on Android as well. Basically what it is it tells you, it gives you a GPS coordinates, and it tells you where you can fly and where you can't. A lot of the time, like if I took off from my apartment here in Orem, it would actually tell me that it is in a controlled airspace. And the reason behind that is because I'm literally within a 5-mile radius of 2 hospitals and several different football fields and baseball fields and stuff like that. So they just want, it's just for your safety. The FAA actually makes those rules. If you have a question about those rules, go ahead and check down in the description. The link will be in the description to their website. So go over and check out that website. Make sure you are following all the rules of the FAA and flying safely. So make sure you're always legal to take off and legal to fly. Don't fly over government property. That should be pretty close to common sense with that, is not flying over government property. There's a lot of places that I've heard that drones being shot out of the sky because they flew over property. I know that like over in DC for the White House and the National Mall, it's restricted airspace. So just don't do it. It's pretty common sense. A lot of the time they might just track you down and find that, give you a big old ticket. But it's always just better to be better safe than sorry, and just don't do it. Pay attention to your environment. Okay? Devin and I always go out to the desert or up in the mountains and stuff like that. There could be trees, rocks, cliffs, power lines, everything out there. And if you're not aware of your environment, you might just run into something. So always be aware of your environment when you are flying. Don't fly through canyons unless you're an experienced drone pilot. The reason I say this is because there's a lot of outcroppings and high walls. You can lose connection of your drone and your drone can malfunction, as well as you might be able to crash into one of those walls. And I can tell you this, my drone is a Mavic Mini and it was a $550 drone. That right there makes it all worth it of not flying through it. Yes, you get some super cool footage, but as long as you are not an experienced drone pilot, I would not recommend it. Pay attention to the altitude warnings. Your altitude warnings will pull up on the screen of your drone or in a Before You Fly app. There is a reason they are there, and it's basically just for the safety of you, your equipment, and other people. Do not fly without a spotter. I always have my fiance, a friend, or Devin out with me while I am flying. The reason I say this is because If you are flying without a spotter, you can't see everything. You see from the camera view of your drone, so just make sure that you always have a spotter or always have someone that has eyes on the drone. Pay attention to the wind warnings that are on your drone. A small bit of a wind gust in the air can flip my drone and damage my equipment. So always make sure you are paying attention to the altitude and the wind warnings that are on your drone. They are there for a reason. Always get permission to fly over private property. The reason I say this is because if your drone ever malfunctioned, again, on private property, then you would have to go fetch your drone by jumping the fence and then breaking the law and trespassing. So just have that, like I said, this is all, most of these are just a common courtesy of making sure that you don't irritate or make anybody else mad, because we're all here together. We all are in the community together. Practice with your drone often. Go to a big open area and you practice. You fly it around, you practice maneuvers you see on YouTube, or you want to try a different thing. Always practice with your drone. There's nothing worse than going out, you only have a certain amount of battery and you want to learn and you want to pull off a stunt or pull off a cool drone shot, and you screw it up, okay? And by screwing it up, you crash your drone or crash something else. So always practice often. Even the most experienced pilots need to go out and practice. Don't push your battery life. Pushing your battery life is probably one of the worst things you can do, because the drone eventually will land itself, and it might be on a tree, a lake, a reservoir, whatever, okay? It'll land itself after a while, okay? So you always want to make sure you have enough battery to get back to the vehicle or back to your home location. The battery for my DJI Mavic Mini lasts about 30 minutes. That's the maximum flight time on that one battery. And so I usually fly at about 15 to 20 minutes, make sure that I have that 10-minute margin to get back and have the battery. I'd much rather have my battery at 50% than at 0% and my drone just fly into a lake. So just make sure you are paying attention to your battery life during your flights. Don't fly in bad weather. Pretty self-explanatory, right? These drones aren't waterproof. Most of them aren't. And by flying in bad weather, it can damage your drone, and like I said, they are not cheap to buy and not cheap to replace. Number 13, don't fly at night. Like I said, it's another safety concern. Yes, you have lights and flashy stuff on there, but most of the time you shouldn't fly at night, and it's not safe. And number 14, use common sense. Most of these rules are common sense, like okay, maybe you should not do that. It is a big thing to make sure you are thinking about what you want to do and executing it. So real quick, let's review. Number 1, don't fly over people. Number 2, always check if it is legal to fly. Number 3, don't fly over government property. Number 4, pay attention to your environment. Number 5, don't fly through canyons unless you are an experienced drone pilot. Number 6, pay attention to your altitude warnings. They are there for a reason. Number 7, don't fly without a spotter. Number 8, pay attention to the wind warnings. They are also there for a reason. Number 9, always get permission to fly over government property. Number 10, practice with your drone often. Number 11, don't push your battery. Number 12, don't fly in bad weather. Number 13, don't fly at night. Number 14, use common sense. Alright everybody, I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something from this video. If you have another video that you would like me to do, or another set of rules that you would like me to review, please leave it down in a comment. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to climb every peak. We will see you on the next one.